Come on. She does have a slight list. It's very minimal. Maybe a little too thin. That's better.
much more than that in Disco Elysium, and here it gets so much weirder too. It takes the age-old mechanics of tabletop RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons and twists them in strange ways around a macabre tale of violence, poverty, and a society on the brink of collapse. Through sharply written dialogue and an expertly crafted world, it uses some unique game mechanics, such as debating against 24 different sections of your own brain, to create an experience that will stay with me for a long time. And somehow, it manages to make all of this fun, and surprisingly often, funny. The premise of Disco Elysium is straightforward. A body has been discovered, hanged from a looming tree in the backyard of a hostel, and it's up to you to work out how it got there over the course of the 30-hour story. Everything that surrounds this core mystery is far from simple, however, not least being that you kick things off with an almighty dose of hangover-induced amnesia. You can't even remember your name, let alone that you're a cop on a murder case. The first decision you have to make when booting up Disco Elysium is what kind of detective you wish to be. Intelligent, sensitive, or bruiser. Each determines the base stats and offer an interesting way to play. For example, opening with the intelligent build allows you to instantly decipher that you have woken up in the city of Revachol, as your high encyclopedia skill feeds you that knowledge. Begin with the sensitive option, however, and you'll have no idea where you are and will have to piece together that same information. If that isn't varied enough for you, you can build your own detective from the ground up instead. Your character sheet is made up of 4 distinct pillars: intellect, psych, physique, and motorics. Each of these consists of 6 wonderfully strange skills which bring their own bonuses. Want to command respect from a member of the public? Spend points on authority. How about intimidate a witness? Beef up your physical instrument total. These skills aren't just passive ways of sending you down different paths. Each one is a distinct voice in your detective's head, represented in the dialogue window during conversations. There are as much in-game tips as there are a way to get your progress. The upshot of all this skill management is that Disco Elysium plays like no other video game I've ever seen. Its closest analogue is perhaps the outstanding Divinity Original Sin 2, if you replaced all of its turn-based combat with early-era LucasArts point-and-click scenarios. Puzzle solving comes hand in hand with skill checks, which are interactions based on a combination of a dice roll and your stats. The higher your number for the requisite skill, the higher the percentage you have of rolling successfully. This mechanic is used to resolve everything from conversation options to jumps across ledges and even violence. There is no combat in Disco Elysium, not in the traditional sense anyway. Throwing a punch is a matter of willing your detective to do so, and the consequences are usually verbal rather than physical. Your choice of dialogue is often crucial to solving problems, not only when interacting with others, but with the many voices occupying your mind. It's a truly fun way of dealing with exciting sequences, and a welcome breath of fresh air compared to more action-oriented RPGs. Other than increasing your skills, you can also spend points in your thought cabinet, a unique mechanic that turns abstract concepts like communism, memories of favourite flavours, or just mistakenly thinking you're a rock star into a kind of mental inventory. It plays beautifully into the theme that half of the battle in Disco Elysium takes place in your own mind. By internalising a thought unlocked along your travels, you can earn a variety of rewards attached to it. These vary from stat boosts to XP boosts and unique traits. It's a wonderfully odd system, not least because each time you complete a thought, a new stunningly grotesque illustrative painting fills your screen. Society seems a concept long since forgotten in the city of Revachol, the once proud capital of the world you wake up in. Martinez, the district where you'll spend most of your time, is an impoverished hub of anger and discontent, but it's a captivating place to be. It's a beautifully realised depiction of a firmly ugly place. You instantly get a sense of the world you'll spend upwards of 30 hours trawling through. Snow falls softly onto abandoned vehicles, crumbling neglected architecture haunts the streets, and broken statues commemorating a long-fabled war serve as a reminder of what happened here. The density of the game's world can sometimes feel overwhelming, with maps dominated by icons and large areas of land beckoning to be explored. This is never the case with Disco Elysium. There's lots to do, but it encourages you to take your time and absorb all the information you are being fed at your own pace. Whether you choose to take what you find at face value is for you to decide. You're a detective, after all. Core to this is Disco Elysium's varied cast of characters, and the way their stories intertwine with both your own and that of the world they inhabit. Each new face is accompanied by a gorgeously painted portrait that looks as if it's been stroked onto a canvas by a hopped-up Francis Bacon. Chief among the connections you'll forge is with your partner in Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. Kitsuragi's dry humour and analytic mind is brought to life brilliantly in his voice acting and provides a reassuring tone during tense moments. The same can't be said for all the cast in Disco Elysium, however. It's a real hodgepodge in terms of voice performance at times. Regardless of delivery, the dialogue itself is meticulously written. It's bitingly funny at times, leaning into the darkness of your situation, while also not being afraid to let you know when you've made a stupid mistake. Characters will swing from revolutionary prose calling for the fall of the bourgeoisie into Kafkaesque psychoanalytic ramblings. Disco Elysium is as much an exercise in detective fantasy as it is an evaluation of your own socio-political leanings. There are two main plotlines to the story of Disco Elysium: the murder case you have been sent to Revachol to solve, and a more personal journey as you attempt to piece together your past and find out who you really are. There's little else I can say about the plot without spoiling too much of the mystery. I urge you to discover the tale for yourself. Over the course of its 30 hours, I couldn't stop reading everything I picked up, learning more about the world I was in and the people that were suffering in it. If this seems all a bit much for you though, there's always the option to just give up. Just 15 minutes in, I received my first game over screen after having a meltdown and giving in to the murmurings of my ancient reptilian brain. Yes, Disco Elysium is definitely weird and by no means a feel-good experience, but it's a highly smart one that I can't wait to relive. Disco Elysium is a unique blend of noir detective fiction, traditional pen and paper RPGs, and a large helping of existentialist theory. Its twisting plot, cast of memorable characters, and sheer depth of choice combine to create an experience that begs to be savoured. A few minor gripes aside, it hits on almost every single one of the marks it sets out to achieve, and left me yearning to spend more time in its world. For a good look at Disco Elysium, check out the first 26 minutes of the game.
This is an incredible book about your entire life and your career, and it starts with that famous scene in Breaking Bad where Aaron Paul's girlfriend has a choking moment in bed, and it suits Walter White to just let her go, as opposed to do what is normally the human thing, save a life of another. And
that's overrated, I found.
You know what?
Yeah, saving a life.
But you just walk us through that scene in a very moving way. I'd like you to tell that story.
You know, when an actor takes a look at a scene, I like to write down the emotional possibility. What could my character feel at any given time? But I don't like to set it in stone because I like to let the moment dictate. But if you write it ahead of time, it's planted. The seeds.
That's annoying.
Are planted, and the possibility of going to a bunch of different places are there. So when I was thinking about that scene about Jesse's girlfriend dying on her own vomit from heroin-induced troubles, I thought there's reasons to save her and reasons to let her go. And one of the reasons to save her was she's just a kid and she could be my daughter. She's that young, right? So and reasons to let her go. She's blackmailing me. She's going to get Jesse killed from heroin, and
You're writing this down.
I'm writing these down. I write these things down a lot, and just so that it fills me, and then when I do the thing, I forget about it, and whatever comes up comes up. So we're shooting this scene. Kristen Ritter, who is a brilliant young actor, she was giving it her all off screen, and 2 cameras are on me now, and planted in there somewhere as I see her choking on vomit, and wondering what should I do. All of a sudden, her facial features disappeared, and it was replaced with the features of my real daughter. And I saw my real child choking to death, and it scared me, of course. And then maybe a few seconds later, that disappeared, and Kristen's face came back. But there was a moment where it was very clear it was my own daughter, and I didn't know why. I was comforted later by Anna Gunn and friends.
The whole cast.
Yeah.
You had this moment on camera.
Yeah. It was on camera. And it was troubling. But then I realized, oh, this is one of the things. I wrote down, she was reasons to say that she could be my own daughter. So that scene must have created the impulse to bring that forward.
All right. So we did 36 minutes earlier. We just did 20. We're going to call it an even hour for the whole prime. We're going to let that all cure. I also have to prime this bad boy.
Anyway, this is some of the emotional risks that actors need to be willing to put out there. And that's what happens.
And you write in the book that that's the most moving scene you've ever had to do in your entire acting career.
Well, because it got so personal. You're a dad. The worst fear that we have as fathers is anything happening to our children.
Yes.
And it happened. I saw my daughter dying in front of me, and it was, even now talking about it.
Yeah, I could see you getting choked
It's
up.
a little, because I remember what it felt like.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.